Now, today we are going to look at another collection, which is similar to lists and tuples, just some basic differences, but they are similar to each other. The two structures earlier, the list and the tuples, they have special use cases. That is, where you're supposed to use a list, you cannot use a tuple, and vice versa, right? So today we are going to add to our knowledge the knowledge of dictionaries, right? And dictionaries, like I said, are very, very important. In fact, I told you about lists, just how important lists are to data. That is how dictionaries are also to data analysis. And by the end of this video, I will try to go ahead of me small. I will try to see that we're able to create a small data set using dictionaries and lists, a combination of dictionaries and lists. So stay with me right up till the end and let's see what we can be able to do. So, what are dictionaries? First, before we talk about dictionaries, let's remember what we said about lists. So, supposing we have this list, right? My list. Oops. You remember what I told you the other time? What Python will do in this case is that for each of these elements that we have in the list, Python is attaching a unique index to each of them, right? We spoke about index. We said the index of Mary will be 0, the index of Peter will be 1, the index of Abdul will be what? Will be 2, right? So each of these Python automatically assigns an index for them. Once you're using a list and a tuple, it automatically assigns an index to each of these guys. So that is why if you come here and then you said my list 0, right? What do you get? You get the first element, right? If you do my list 1, you get Peter, right? And this is great for a use case where you're collecting just a list of students in the class, list of the names of students in the class, in a particular class, right? But there are also times where you'd want to collect details, like in one particular collection, you might need to collect the name of the person, the age of the person, the gender of the person, all of those details put together. You want to collect all of these details, the name of the person, like I said, gender, like I said, all of those things all together in a particular collection, just in one collection, and so if you're using a list now, let me see details now. This is what the list will look like. If you're using a list, it will be the name now. Let's say it's Mary. Then what do we have about Mary? Uh, let's say her gender is female. Mary is female, and then her age is what? 16. Let's say, or let's put it as a number, 16, or maybe we might use it for calculation. And then what else can we add about Mary? Okay, let's leave it like that, right? Three details. So this will also work as a list, right? But it means if you're using it as a list, for a person who is coming, who does not know the order of arrangement, for all I care, somebody can start with her age before he goes to her name, right? So it means there is no this kind of, it means you must rehearse, you must know which element. And imagine you have a list of other people as well, right? This is Mary's details now, right? Now if you have details of another person, let's say you have Peter's details, you have Abdul's details, so you have to know that the first one is always name, the name. The second one is always gender, and that is not an efficient way to go around that. So, what if you want a more customized collection where you can specify the, what do you call it now? Where you can specify the name of the index. You can specify the index manually. Like I told us, Python automatically attaches index to these guys, right? So this guy now, if you want to extract Mary, you have to use detail 0. If you want to um If you want to extract her gender, you have to use details 1. If you want to extract her age, you have to use details what 2. So this is actually not a very, very great way of going around this. That is where dictionaries now come, right? Where you can specify the index. And that index is what we call the key now. So it is no longer Python that is doing it for you. You are the one manually specifying, and that is what you can use to access, that particular name. So how about we put it this way? Let's try to differentiate the two. Let's Mary's details actually. I don't know how to put that S now without causing. So let's assume that that's the name, Mary details. So we have this, and I have. So we use curly braces. This kind of bracket that looks like a set. All of us did math, yeah. Okay, so that's the kind of bracket now. We call it a curly brace, right? So that is the one that allows you to enter all of these things, and they are very, very important when you're creating what we call data frames. That's an introduction to data analysis. So you find out that every day, whatever it is that we are learning is taking us a step closer to the goal of the entire training, to prepare you, you know, for any data analysis, data science or data engineering, this thing. So everything we're learning is taking us a step closer. So that is why today we are looking at dictionaries. And of course, you can use these structures together. Before the end of this course, we'll see how to use lists together with dictionaries. We'll see how to use dictionaries with lists. We'll see how to use, we'll see how to use the different combinations together. So it's not like you're learning this structure and you're preferring over this structure. No. We'll see how to combine the two of them together. Okay. So now, if you're doing that, you cannot specify. Now I can specify first name. I cannot specify the name of the variable. You can even call it first, no name. You can call it like this, is still okay. Or you can call it name if you want. Then you put a colon between them, a colon. Then you now specify the value. Now this is what we call the key. So the key is name. The value now is what? Is Mary. Then you put a comma. You have finished the first one. So instead of just writing Mary, you specify what Mary will be, how will the name we will use to access Mary. So instead of just specifying Mary, like we do in a list, here we'll specify a key. What is that unique identifier for Mary? How can we be able to retrieve Mary? So the unique identifier for Mary is actually name. And the next key for this one is gender. So you put gender as a string. And then what is the gender? Female. Then you have this age. Next one is age. Then what do you have as age? You have 16. Okay, not age 3, right? So that we can differentiate between them. You can actually put 16 as a string, but it's just that you cannot use it for calculations, right? The difference between this list that you're seeing here and this dictionary is just that they are the same things, but this time around, as a list, like I told us, Python automatically assigns an index to this list. While in dictionary, we are the ones that are manually assigning the index. So the name of this index now is name. We are giving it a name, right? And then we're having a column. So we are saying name is Mary. And you know how we do it now. We even do it even when we want to write, right? Remember how you want to write, and then you have this, you have name. Even when you're filling a form, name Mary. You now give a. Imagine you have a next line, and then let me try to do that. Uh, Let me add a text cell above. So this is going to be name. Then you have Mary. You have age. Sorry, gender. We do this even in form filling. So this is not far away from what you already know. These things that you're doing are actually things that resonates with normal human life, right? We do this. We provide a key and then we provide a response. Provide a key, a value rather, key, and then we provide a value, right? In normal form filling. So when you see this, we call it key value pairing, right? You have a key and you have a value. This is one pair now. Key value pair. This under key value pair. This under key value pair. Just like you see in every ordinary form. So when we are also creating a dictionary, we can also do this with a dictionary, right? Key value pairing. And just like you have this list now, let me copy it here. You can also create this dictionary like this. After you write this one comma, you can put this down, can take this down. So you can actually write this. This dictionary is the same thing as this. Okay, so here, if we want to access Mary's name, this is what we do. Mary's, to not be Mary details, you know, it's just like we do for a list like this. But this time around, we are not entering the index, we're entering the key that we used to save Mary as. So what did we use to save Mary as? We saved it under name. That is the key. So now you just do this name. And then what will you get? It will give you Mary. So even if you scatter this arrangement, even if you copy this guy now and bring this guy here, Control X for court. Let me add it here. After this, then I bring it. Even if I run this now like this and I come here and I still run this guy to still fetch that name is Mary. As far as this dictionary is concerned, it's only one key that we have that is for Mary, and you cannot have two keys. You cannot have name and name again. Try that out; it will give you an error. But we're going to see that going forward. So it will go into dictionary and see what object is having a key called name. Because I told you that these guys are called keys, these are called values, right? So it's called key value pairing, or if you like key value, key value. So the same vein, if I want the age, I can come and type age here, right? But then you cannot also come here and then use age like this, AGE, like this. It will not work because it will check and it will not find anywhere that there is a with small age with small a. And gender will fetch you what? Fetch you female, right? So that is what the dictionary does, right? And like I said, a dictionary is very, very powerful, and we're going to see a lot of use cases for dictionaries. Now, the same thing with this, even if I run this now and you come and you type here, the same thing, it will give you this name, name, it should give you this, right? So there are two ways to get values from a list, right? So this is using the normal way we know the indexing. Let me borrow the word indexing, even though this is not indexing because we are not using an index. We are using this square brackets, right, and specifying the name of the key. We can also use the dot get method. We can use Mary's details like this. Mary details. Can actually use this, and we can use the dot get this and then specify name. This will also return Mary. But somebody will say, why would I go through the stress of using dot get? I know for us that's what you're thinking. So that's actually why we're doing that is because the dot get. Now, if I decide now to change this to small letter n, you know that it will return. It's supposed to return an error when I have this small letter n because there is no any key here that has name is exactly this variable, right? So if you run this, it will. The one thing about the dot get, let's notice their behavior. Let's do it for this one. So let's see what did this one return? An error. Let's run this one. It didn't return anything. So that is what the dot get does. It allows you to return a customized kind of a customized output. So the dot get you can specify if it does not get anything instead of returning an error, it will return nothing. It will just return nothing. So it will tell you, I went inside and I did not find anything, right? It will not just stop your program from running. It also allows an optional argument. You can put a comma, and then you can provide what what Python will tell you if it searches and it does not find. So, what do you want? You can just type in anything. No match found. Let me do this. No match found. So let me do this. To tell me no match found. So it will allow me to specify. So this is like if it checks for this one and it does not find, then it returns no match found. But if it finds this one, it will not return this one. So it's using behind the scenes, it's using an if statement behind the scene to decide. So you can use both this one and what and the dot get method. Both of them still do the same. I'll just give us an exercise. You're going to create a dictionary with up to 5 details about yourself. Everybody should read about themselves. In this chapter, you learn how to use Python's dictionaries, which allow you to connect pieces of related information. You learn how to access the information once it's in a dictionary, right? We've seen that, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, this is a simple dictionary. In this book, what they do is that they show us an example before they give us definitions, right? So now here you see an example where they are trying to describe an alien. The color of the alien is what is green. That is the key. Key is what color. um the value is what green. Key here is what points. The value is what 5. And there was this zombie game that all of us were playing. You have red zombies, you have green zombies. If you kill a red zombie, there is a different, the difference come from if you kill the red zombie. So imagine that game in your head now. You just imagine it now, right? So that's what they are trying to do here. So the color, this is alien zero. That is the name of the alien that you want to kill now. And then if you kill them, the points you get is what is 5, right? So if you print color, if you print points, you see this is what you get. right? So I believe it's something you can go through. So working with dictionaries, like I said, this is where they try to give you definitions and explanations of what the dictionary is. So you can take 1 minute to just go through this, or 5 minutes actually, so that you understand it in details. Now, a dictionary is a collection of key value pairs. Remember what I told you? Key value pairs. And what is the key here? Here, what is the value? Green. So the key is the name of the value. And accessing values in a dictionary, you saw that we were able to access values in a dictionary using this method, right? Okay, adding new elements to a dictionary. And remember, our elements in a dictionary are what are in pairs, right? We have a key and then we have a value, right? So adding new elements. When I say adding new elements, I mean adding new key value pairs, right? So to add a value to a dictionary is also fairly very, very easy. You just call the name of the dictionary, right? Remember how we were able to modify a list? We'll call the name of the list, right? Then the position of the element we want to modify, and then the value. So that's the same technique we use, but this time around it's a technique for adding elements in a dictionary, right? So the name of the dictionary, then the name of the key we want to add in this position. In this scenario, the name of the key is X position. As you can see here, the name of the key is Y position. All right. So we are adding two new keys here, X position and Y position. That is for what do you call it now? The alien. Remember, the alien only had two attributes. That was color and the points you get. So now they're adding the X and Y coordinates, right? So for us, we're just going to add two more fields. Yeah, okay. So let's have Mary's details. Let's see if Mary's details still working. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add into Mary's details. I'm going to add let's say her nationality. Let's call her a Nigerian, right? So that sorry, this is how you do. Sorry, you add this here, nationality, and then this will be an equal to sign rather. Yeah. So Mary details, the name of the key you want to add equal to the value, the new value. So this will automatically add a field, right? Let's do this now. So Mary details now. Let's try accessing Mary details now. You see that nationality has been added as one of those things, right? So what other thing can we add to Mary details? Let's bring in favorite color. So we have this favorite color is equal to what? Let's give her a pink. Yeah, so let's go in. Let's print Mary details again and see. So we have this, right? You can now see Mary details has been updated. We have name Mary, gender female, we have age 16, nationality Nigerian, favorite color pink. So that's how to add elements to a dictionary. Now I'm going back to our book. Now you can see how we're able to do that here, right? So we added new key value pairs. We can start with an empty dictionary and then add elements to the empty dictionary. More like just what we did earlier on. Um, so if you want, you can start from here. Let me just call this one details. Anonymous details. Start from an empty dictionary. Now if we print details, of course what we'll see is an empty dictionary. So if you come here and then you want to add anything to details, you can come here. Let's add two things to detail. First we add is name is equal to Abdul, and then we add another thing, details. Okay, I think I missed something. Yeah, let's add age. Let's give him 25. So now let's print details and see what we have. Now you can see details. We now have name equals to Abdul, age equals 25. So you can start from an empty dictionary and add. And why will you do that? There are times where you would want to do this because you have maybe a list, or you're trying to create a dictionary from already an existing list. You remember how we did it previously? We were able to create a list from an already existing list, right? So when you're trying to do that, maybe we have a list of numbers from 1 to 10, and then we are trying to create a list of squares of those numbers, right? So that the list rather will store scores of the squares of numbers from 1 to 10, right? So it means we are creating a list from another list. Now, if we are creating a dictionary from another dictionary, or maybe we are creating a dictionary from another list or something, right? We can start from an empty. Some of these things you get to see them when when you start solving real world case scenarios, and we're going to see some of them, how we can get to see how those guys work. All right. So you can start from a completely empty dictionary and then populate the dictionary with elements. That is key value pairs, right? Okay, let's move to the next thing. Now, removing, we've seen how to add. By the way, because we can add now and remove, it means a dictionary is what? Is mutable. I think I said something like that. So a dictionary is immutable highly. So to remove any element from a list, you use the del keyword, then the the you access the index, you access the key of the particular uh, value you want to remove, right? So you remember that was what we were doing for lists, right? We use the del keyword, then the list name, right? Then the index number of the element we want to remove. So here what we're doing is similar to what we're doing in the list, right? You bring the del keyword and then the name of the dictionary and the index. So you remember I told you the key serves as like um, imagine us setting up a manual index for a list, right? That's how I try to imagine it. So you specify the del keyword, the name of the dictionary, and then the name of the key you're trying to remove, and this will take out the key and the value together. So let's see this. Now, if I want to remove Abdul's age, and if I want to do that, I can just use the del keyword, then I can put details, then go to age. This should remove this details. Now, if I print, I should see only name, right? So, likewise, I can also remove the name of Abdul, right? So you can do that. The del keyword, don't forget the name of the dictionary, and then the key you want to remove. That's how you remove elements from a dictionary, right? So next, we're going to see how to modify elements in a dictionary, right? This is just a dictionary of similar objects. Like all the dictionaries we've seen before are of different objects. You have name, you have age, you have favorite color. All of those are different objects. Well, what similar objects mean in contrast to when you have a dictionary of different objects is that here, if you notice here, all the keys are actually names of people. Here are their favorite programming languages, right? So a person, their favorite programming language, modifying values in a dictionary. So if you want to modify a value in a dictionary, it's still the same thing as we did in the case of list, right? So if you want to modify a value in a dictionary, it's as if you're adding a value to a dictionary. You remember how we're adding values in a dictionary, right? Where was it? Yeah, here we the name of the dictionary we call the key we want to attach, and then the value. So the same thing when you do this, if the name already exists as Abdul, right? Let me run this. Print details now. I have you can see Abdul, and then age is what 25. So if I come here now, and then I add a cell, sorry, details. I run this. So now if I want to modify the name, I can just come here, use the same key, right? I told you no two keys in a dictionary. Two keys cannot be the same in a dictionary. If you add another element that has the same key with an element that exists already in the dictionary will replace the previous element. So that is what we are using now to be able to modify elements in a list. So if I do this and then instead of Abdul now, I use Kanu, right? And I run this. If I come to print details now, you will no longer see Abdul but Kanu, right? So you understand this about a dictionary. So how to add values is almost the same thing as how to modify values. The only difference is that when you're modifying, it means the key already exists. If the key does not exist, it will create a new key value pair. But if the key already exists, then it will replace the value of the previous key. Okay, using .get, I think I spoke to us about that already. Using .get to access values. So you have your first set of exercises. And looping through a dictionary, very, very important. Now, before we see looping through a dictionary, let me show us. You know, the dictionary is a key value pair, right? It has keys and it has values. So, how do we access all the keys in a dictionary? You can just come here, Mary details. If you come and then you put dot keys, this method dot keys. If you run it, it will give you all. It will give you a list like this of all. It will give you a list of what of all the keys there. So if you remember here, what were the keys we had? We had name, gender, age, nationality, and favorite color. So it will return all of the keys here. And in the same vein, if you want to print the values, right, you can just, instead of keys here, you can just replace it with values. Then when you run it, you have the values in a dictionary now. So dot keys returns the keys, right? While the dot values returns the value. So you can see name, Mary, gender, female, age, 16, nationality, Nigerian, for record. So everything is like that. Now, what if I want to return the keys and the values together, right? Now, there are two techniques. You can just print Mary details like this to return a dictionary, or you can use Mary details dot items. When you do this, look at what it has returned. Now, let's analyze what we have here. Let me highlight, right? Now, if you look at this, this is a list. Can you see? This inside here is a list. But then what are the elements of this list? The elements of this list are also are tuples. You can see it's like a pair of objects, a pair of key and value named Mary, right? And if you remember, anything that is enclosed within the normal parentheses, we call them what? We call them we call them what do you call it? We call them tuples. So you can call this one a list of tuples, right? So you can see how all of these guys are interrelated. In dictionaries, when you want to access keys, you get a list. When you want to access values, you get a list. When you want to access the items, you get a list of tuples. So you see how why it was important for you to learn tuples, to learn lists, and to learn dictionaries. So that when I come now, I'm not blowing grammar. It's actually things we've covered before. So now you would notice that we have a list, like I said, of tuples, right? So if you want to loop through the keys or values, you just need to use your normal loop. But when we want to use um, it on dot items on this, we'll try to apply something we call hashing of dictionaries, right? Okay, so looping through dictionaries. First of all, let us see how to loop through keys, right? So if I want to print the keys, I can just use the normal for loop for key or for k if you want in keys in Mary details dot keys, right? And then the colon, don't forget. Print, I just want to print my guys. Print k. Beautiful. So this gives me my guys. Same thing if you want to print through values, you can say for v in Mary details dot what values. Very important. Just simply print v. Then this what this prints my values. Now if I want to run through the items, dot items, now I can do this. There are two ways. The first way is not very, very great, but then I will show us a better way. So if you come, you can do this for them in Mary details dot items, something like this, right? So you can print item. Very good. So this gives you, remember what we saw here, right? It gives you these tuples, and the tuples is a pair of name of a key and a value, right? a name, Mary, gender, female, and all of that. So, but now, what if we want to be able to print the key and then the value differently? You can come here, then have something like this item. If you print item zero, in this case, it will give you only the keys, right? If you print, remember that is this guy item now. Each these are tuples, and this is zero. This is index zero. This is index one, right? So you can actually use index zero here. This will give you what the keys. If you use an index one, this will give you the what um the values. But what if I come here and then I decide to use this um index zero, then I decide to come and then I have okay, let me do this f formatted string, right? F formatted string. Let me put the second one here. Yeah, close this. So I have item zero. I'll just put column. Well, let me forget about the color. Let me not confuse anybody. Right. Then I have item one. So what am I trying to do here? I'm just printing the key and then what the value, right? Remember, oh, I can just come here. I think I can just come here. Maybe put dash here. So you can see name, Mary, gender. So you're seeing all of this now. Is what I was trying to do. If you like a column, you can just come here and put a column. It's just a way of me printing the key and the value, because the key we know that if we print this item, it is going to give us a tuple. So, and the first element of the tuple is always the index is zero, right? The second element, the index is one. So you can do this. There is even a better way, right? For item in Mary details dot items, like this, same thing. Now, instead of item now, here we would have key value. So we'll do k comma v. We'll do k comma v. So from here, it has already separated for you this item. Instead of you to come here and manually specify item zero, item one, no. Here doing, you're already looping, and this is what we're going to be using. You're already separating it from here. So each time it picks the first element, which is going to be a tuple, it will share the names. So what I mean by it will share, okay. So each time it picks, these many details of items, we saw that this was what it was going to give us, right? So each time it comes here, if it picks this guy here, since we said here is for k comma v, so it will assign this one to k, that is the key, if you want, then the second one to the value, the first one, that is k, to the key, and then the second one to the value. So when I come here, all I just need to do is I can just print k. If I print k here, I can just, if I'm using f formatted printing, I can use k, right? Then I can print v like this. Then when I run this, what will it give me? To give me key value, key value, key value. So this is actually better when it comes to speed of operations. This does faster than this one, because this one will pick first the elements and then it will come here and then it will have to index them again. That takes that's also another step you're adding. But when you follow this technique, what happens is that it from here it hashes. That is what we call hashing. Imagine this to be an egg that contains, instead of one bird, that contains two birds. The first bird is the key, the second bird is the value. So when you hash this, right, so that's what hashing is actually. It hashes this, it separates them into parts, and then it assigns them to k and v respectively. So this is what we're going to be using for our looping of items in a dictionary. Now let's go back to our book. Of course, so we've done all of these guys now. All of these guys, you can go through the example, see what they have. Now you can see what they did here. They were able to improvise. They did key here, value, So you can check out what they did here. It's other items. They now printed, formatted printing, right? In the next line, you print key, value, print value, So instead of printing them in the same line, they decided to do key first before value. So you can check out um, You can check out what they did. I believe you're old enough to go through this example now on your own. And when I mean old enough, I don't mean your literal age, right? So coming, looping through all the keys in a dictionary. Of course, we've seen all of this. We've also seen how to loop through all the values. Now, what if we want to loop through the keys or through the values in a particular order, right? We can now introduce our sorted function. You remember our sorted function that was able to help us sort. And remember, sorted works with lists, right? And I think it also works with tuples. Those things can be confusing at times. So you can do this for key, if you like, or for k in sorted. Uh, let's do details this time around. Dot keys, right? Print key. So this will print out the keys for you, what arranged alphabetically. Remember, it always arrange in what it always arranges in ascending order, except if you otherwise use the reverse keyword. If you have not forgotten the sorted function, I think it has a reverse argument where we can add and say reverse is equal to true. Let's try this. Yeah, so name will come first. It will do it descending. It will print in descending order, right? Reverse equal to true. Okay, but then so that we are sure that our sorting is working, I think we should. It's only proper that we print the initial keys now, right? For key in details dot keys like this, right? Print key. Let's see. Now you can see by default name comes before each, right? But then if we sort it, so it means now sorting is working. If we sort it now, we get that each comes before name because of alphabetical ordering, right? So that's how we know. So you can also do that to keys. What do you call it? You can do that to um, the values as well. You can also do that too. Now, when you sort an entire dictionary, this I'm giving you as an assignment. Sort the entire dictionary, right? You will find out that it only sorts them according to keys. Now, if you want to sort a dictionary, it only sorts them according to keys, not according to values, right? So I will show us in the next class how to sort dictionaries. But then before the next class, try sorting dictionaries by values. The default behavior when you try to sort dictionaries, let's do this. Let's have Mary details and do this. Now, so when you print Mary details, we have this. Now, so let's print sorted Mary details, right? So we have this. Now, you can see that what it returned was a sorted list containing all the keys, right? It has sorted all the keys and it has returned them, but we don't have the values, right? So if we want to have everything, we can use the dot items. Dot items. Okay, sorry. I didn't add the brackets. Okay, so you can now see that it has returned to us the contents of the dictionary, but this time around it has only sorted the keys, right? You can see the values. Now, what if we wanted to sort the values instead? Right. So that will be your assignment number one. I will leave you with that. I will show you how to do it next class. But then I will want you to take it, try it out as a challenge. Drop your answer in the comment section. Let's see what you have. Drop your answer there. So if you try to do this now, what happens? It returns to you a list of tuples, right? It is not. It has changed it now from a dictionary. It has returned a list of tuples. When you try to use the sorted function, it will return a list. Now, and the list has keys sorted. Right? But what if I want to sort them by values? So that's something I want you to go and check out how to. Then, if you want to change this back to a dictionary, what do? You can use the dict keyword here. Can wrap it around the dict keyword. Then what do you have? It has come back to a dictionary now in a sorted with the keys sorted this time around, right? So I have uh, two ways I think I can be able to sort by values, but then I will allow you to do that, right? I will allow you to try that out. Drop your answer in the comment section and let's see what it looks like, right? So we've been able to sort a dictionary, and we saw that using the sorted function converts the dictionary to a list of tuples. But then when we use the dict keyword again, it changes it back to a dictionary. And that is very, very important depending on the output you want. There are times where the output you want is a list. There are times where the output you want is a dictionary. So it depends on the output you want. And so don't be carried away by all of these things. We're just learning a lot of theory that will help us build real world solutions, right? Because there are a lot of things that we might want to do, especially when we come to data cleaning, or some of you that might go into AI or data engineering. There are some kinds of cleanings you want to do that you might have never seen it on any online tutorial. You would have to sit down, think about how to, you know, how to go about it. So that's why I'm allowing you to try that. I've tried sorting by values. Let's see, what can you do? How can you think of a way? Even if the way looks unconventional, just make sure, just do it. Even if it's an Ojoro method, just do it. Now going back to our book, um, we're able to see how to you have these exercises to try. All right. So nesting, this is the last thing we're going to look at before at the end of the video. So nesting is just like the name implies, when you have something inside of another thing. That's what nesting means, right? Right. So if I have an egg in a nest, in a bird's nest, that's an example of nesting. So nesting always comes, and it depends on levels of nesting, right? Imagine you have a bird's egg. Sorry, imagine you have a bird that laid it. Imagine you have a bird. Imagine you have an egg in a nest, right? And the nest is now kept inside a bucket, and the bucket is now kept inside a drum, and the drum is now kept inside of, let's say, all these vehicles that carry goods from one location to another, right? So that's nesting. The egg is inside a nest. The nest is inside a bucket. The bucket is inside a drum. The drum is inside a car, right? Or a courier if you want. So um that's just what nesting is. So when we have in programming, or in this aspect, when we have one collection inside another collection, or when we have one data structure inside another, we call it nesting. For example, if you have a list inside of a dictionary, or a dictionary inside of a dictionary, or a list inside of a list, or a list inside of a dictionary, all of those are possible scenarios. I mean, we are trying to just find possible combinations between lists and dictionaries. And why is that important? You will see for each case study, for each case that we're going to consider, these are not the exhaustive cases that we're going to consider, but you see the use cases, right? And of course, you don't have to follow their own. They're just telling you that this is possible. And so it depends on the kind of problem you're trying to solve, what kind of output you're trying to get. Okay, so let's swing to action. Now, the first thing we're going to see is a list of dictionaries. That is, another way you can put it is a dictionary inside of a list, right? So it becomes, you remember we spoke about a list of tuples. That is tuples inside of a dictionary. So this time around, we want to see a list containing dictionaries. And one of the examples they did is that they created alien 0, alien 1, and alien 2. So these different aliens, what they do is simply, you can see the names remain the same, the names of the keys remain the same, right? Just the values that are changing, right? But the name of the keys remain the same. You can see points, points, color, color. Now we have Mary's details, right? But for the sake of time, let me just use details. Here, let me see details. Okay, so let me call this details one. So we already have details one. Let me create another detail. Let me call it details two. And then let's just give it a name. Remember the name is what? Name is it Namdi. If you say Namdi Kanu, I use Habi. Age, we have 26. Yeah, let's do 26. So let's run this guy. So what do we have our details to? Correct. So I think you can go ahead and add other ones, but I'll just create a list called, let's call it students now. A list called students, and then we'll just create a list, and then we can bring in details. Remember the first details, right? Then I can also bring details two. Then I can run this. Oops. Okay, I think I have a spelling error here. Okay, so I'll print the student and see what it looks like. Oh, students. What's wrong with me and spelling errors? Students. All right. So now, this is what we have here. We have, you can see that we have on the students and the list, we have name, Kanu, age, 25. We have another object again, name, Namdi, age, details, right? So if you print student one, what do you get? You get the details of student one. If I want to look through this guy, since it's a list, I can also look through it for student, right? In students, print student. Let me see. Yeah, so this gives us all of the students, right? I'm just trying to, just mess around with all of these things. That's what practice does. That's how I practice sometimes. So now we've successfully seen how to add how to create a list of dictionaries, right? So can you also create this without having to first create these dictionaries? Like, I mean, first having to create details and then details two, details three, depending on how many you want to, before now populating them into the list. You can actually do this directly, right? You can actually come here and do this. Students is equal to, you can open this like this, right? And then you can hit enter. So this, when you hit enter, this gives you something like this. Now from here, I can be able to continue creating my dictionary. And I can now create the first student. I can now assign a name to the student. Name is what? Say Aisha. And then age is what? Let's say 22. That this is the detail of one student, right? Or if you want, you can have them in one line so that I don't confuse you. And have everything in one line like this. Still okay. Can come and have a comma. Add another student here. Just the same thing. Name, Moses. Then in the age, same thing. You can have 25, right? Then if I print students, what do I get? Get a similar result to what I have already there. So you can create it directly from here, right? You don't have to create all of those individual dictionaries and then come in to populate them. But if you already have the individual dictionaries, you can then populate them using this method that we did here. So here they just created new alien. Just study this example. They just created a new alien here using a for loop, right? This it means here the new alien will carry the same attribute. You will green, all of them will be green. The points will be 5. The speed will be slow, right? 30 aliens. Remember for alien number in range 30. Remember what range 30 does? It creates numbers from 0 to 29, right? So you do that, and then instead for alien in alien 5, this is slicing or chunking if you want. So he sliced the first 5 elements, right? Then you have this. So you can go through this example and then you see what it has. And he was able to also do some things like he was able to modify elements of a dictionary. And of course, this is not a very, very difficult one, right? This is he just fetched the first 3 elements in the dictionary and he modified their values. He said if alien color is equal to green, what do you do? Change the details. So it's just like me coming here and say right, so let me use a simple for loop for students and students print me a student, right? But then this time around I want to check if I want to use an if condition. If the student name, right, student name is equal to Moses, student name is equal to Moses, what do I do? I want to come here and do something. Instead of printing it, I want to modify the value. If student name is equal to Moses, then I don't want any Moses any longer. So I'll just make the name. I'll make the name just make it std, that the student name will now be, instead of Moses now, make it Musa. Okay, Musa. Yeah. Then maybe I will change the age. Also change the age. Then I make this 25. Okay, Moses was 25. Let me make it 45. Okay, so what actually happened here is that we are looping through students, right? But now this time around, we want to change the value of this guy here. That's the aim. I want to change the value of this guy here. So we are trying to use an if condition. If the name is Moses, change his details. We can decide to even just change age. You can just say, "Oh, Moses' age is not 25." Oh. So, but how do we change Moses' age? We can just use the if condition. If age is equal to 45, what do we do? If name is equal to, if the student name is equal to Moses, we now adjust the age to 45. Okay, sorry. Oops, this is double equal to. Yeah, these are common errors made. So let's see what happened to our students. Let's try printing our students and see what happened. Now you can see Moses' age has changed to 45. Right. I know these things can be a lot. Just take a deep breath. Just take a deep breath. Take another one again. Yes, and then like our video, comment, and subscribe to our channel. When you're done, then you can go back again through the video and then just listen to my explanation again. Or if you still have difficulties understanding, if you feel I'm blowing too much grammar, just reach out to me on the comment section. Let me know. I can set up a private meeting with you. It's as long as this video is not up to 6 months old. I can always set up a private meeting with you, maybe 15 minutes, 10 minutes, and I'll try to explain some of these things to you to your own understanding, right? But I feel this is fairly explainable. You just need to sit down, take a second, try to understand why we are doing what we are doing. Is there no any other way? Why are we doing it this way? And then try it out. Sometimes that is the trick. If it is confusing, you just type it. Do it once. Do it for another element. Do it for another element. Before you understand, you've mastered it already, right? Okay. So going back to our book. Just go ahead. Now, a list of dictionaries. This is also very, very possible. Sorry, a list in a dictionary is very, very possible where you have a list, where you have a list in a dictionary. For example, and this is, I'm going to use this example that we have here. Now, I'm going to recreate this, but possibly in a better way, right? So I can come here and have this student, right? Then I can have this as a dictionary, hit enter so that it gives us this space. Now I can come here and put something like this name, right? Then I have this name is equal to what? I can just, or if you want, you can put names here if you want. But I don't think that's necessary. Let me leave it as names so that it is a list. It is now what we want to create is that the names will hold a list of students, right? So here we have a list. We have Aisha, right? And we have Moses. Then you can have your comma here. So we have created these now names hold Aisha and Moses, right? Now remember, what we're trying to do is we're trying to use the advantage of knowing the different kinds of data that each of these guys can hold. Now we know that the list can hold. It's advisable for a list to hold similar data. It can hold any kind of data. It can hold numbers at the same time. You know, it can hold numbers, texts, any kind of data type in the same collection. But then it is always good and better. When I started this class, I said it that you have the same kind of collection, the same kind of elements in a list, as much as it depends on you, though. So here we have this list now will contain only names, and then we have another list that will contain only age, right? Only age. Then we have this um going. Okay, we have what was the age of? We have 22, and we have now 45. So if I run this now, students, what do I get? You can see I have this, these are names, these are what ages. So I have their names and I have their ages. Now you can see it's a bit different from this guy here that we have, but of course, on if you look at it again, this is actually the same way of collecting data. So you're going to see data in different ways. This is either you see it this way or you see it in this way, right? So this is a list containing or dictionaries. Well, this is a dictionary containing list, but they are still storing the same kind of information. For those of us who are going into the data space, since we are preparing ourselves for the data space, this is likely what we're going to be seeing in the data space, right? We're going to be seeing this will serve as our column name, and then these are the values of the column, right? So this is going to be a column called names. Oh, let me just remove the S. A column called name, right? And then which contains the names of everybody, and then a column called age, which contains the age of everybody, right? We would use this at the end of this class. I will just bring up something, and then I'll try to convert this to a data set, and we'll see how it looks like. So for those of us going into the data space, this is how I want us to look at how to use this collection. This is it is awesome, right? Creating a dictionary of lists, or if you like, a list inside of a dictionary, right? Very, very beautiful. Now, rounding up, we'll see the last use case. You can go through all of these examples, right, and see what they've been able to do. Also, see how you can code it alongside them. Now, to round up, we have a dictionary in a dictionary. So, in this case, where we have a dictionary in a dictionary, um, it's a dictionary actually is actually a dictionary. Like I said, so when you have a dictionary inside of a dictionary, it's just a case scenario where you know you have a dictionary inside of another dictionary. And look at the example they did here. I'm not sure if we need to go through this example, but here is a imagine you have a website users database, right? So here you have users is equal to, you have a Einstein, that is the username of the person, right? And then you have the details of the person. So what is his first name, what is his last name, what is his location, collecting all of these guys in this manner. Now, what is a correct use case for all of this? Suppose that we have um want to collect users of our database. Then we have this, right? Then we have this dictionary. So the first person on our list, let's say, is Aisha. So that's, let's say her username is Aisha001. So let's take her details. Right. First name. Let's see, her first name is Aisha. Right. And then we have the second name to be what? Her last name to be what? Let's say Lawal. Right. And then maybe we have her age to be what? Her age should be 22. Now we can also come here. This is one person's detail now. From here, like this, is one person's detail, right? So we can come here and have a comma, right? And most likely in a database, in a website database, this is how your data is likely stored there, right? In a website. So these are just, if you imagine all of those information you used to fill when you're creating an account, right? So you have all of those here. Now here I have Aisha. Well, sorry, I have Musa. We have Musa 111. And so here I have, I'm just passing the same variables, so the same keys rather. Then I have, you know what, I can just come here, copy this, paste it here and edit, right? But don't do that. Hey, don't do that to yourself, please. So yeah, I have Musa, I have Simon, age 45, right? Like we have there, right? So this is the same data, I'm just representing it in different ways, right? Depending on the use case you want to, right? So if I print users now, you can see what I have, right? If you look through it for user in users, right? Print users, that will be dot items now, right? And remember, so user, let me call this user comma details, since this is a dictionary. So this is the username, these are the details, right? So we'll do here user comma details in dot items, right? So for user comma details in users dot items, what do we get? We get print user print the name of the user if we want. Yeah, here we have user. Then let's say we want to print the person's details. Details. Right. So what do you print here? You print the details. Remember, we are looking through a dictionary, and then we have to hash it using right the key and value. Right. You can use key value. You can use user details. This one stands for key and value, or K and V, anyhow you want to put them. Right. If you print this user and these are the details, so you can come here. Then we have this. Right. We have the username, or you can come here and put user name if you want, and details, right? Username and details. Now, what if I also, instead of printing these details, I also want to look through this dictionary now like this, and then print all of the information that I did for each of the person, right? So I can come back here. Let me just copy these guys, take them to another cell, and then make the changes I will make here. So I can just come here. This is not necessary. I'm just trying to make you realize that you can still do a lot of things around. You can still play around, right? So you have username. Let's first print the usernames. Okay. So what do you want to do? We want to print the details, right? So we can come here and print. Um, we can come here, sorry, and add another loop for detail in details again, right? And but this time around, you know that the details also is a dictionary. So it will be detail.items, right? Details.items. So this will be like key value. So let's do this key value if you want. Like this. So what do you want to print? We want to print key. And then I want to print the value here. Now, what am I trying to do here? Let me calm down. First of all, we saw we could print the users and the details here, but then it does not look great to me. I mean, things just look like dictionaries, and not everybody understands dictionaries. So if you're trying to address your audience outside there, you might want to use a way that appeals to them as well, right? This is what we call also nested loops. Don't worry if you don't understand, just watch this over and over and try it. Just try it, you understand what we're trying to do. So first of all, we are looping through the users and the details, right? Then when we are done printing the username, we want to still loop through the details because the detail is also a dictionary to print the key and the values, right? So when we do this, what do we get? Oops. Oh, okay. I'm missing this. Okay. This is an unnecessary indent. Sorry. This is supposed to be like this. Yeah, it's supposed to be on the same level with this. Sorry about that. Now you can see I have the username here. Then I have the details. First name is Aisha. Last name is Lawal, age 22. If I like, after printing everything, you can come here and print what? You can come here and print a slash n. Let me do this. Now you can see it has separated these guys, right? So after each time it prints, it gives an extra line space, right, between these guys. Now, what if I want to add something like I want to add a tab space like a shift. I want these guys to shift inside. I mean, give like a paragraph space so that you understand that these are under, you know, this person's username. So I can come here and add a slash t here. Hope you've not forgotten our slash t. Let's see what happens. Great. So this is the username. These are the details of the person, right? And here I have first name starting with what do you call it? Starting with lowercase. You can still go back here in the keys. And what do you do? Dot title if you want, right? Dot title. So this is just us trying to revise every of the things we've learned previously, right? We're not doing anything extra outside of the ordinary. Try different scenarios. Like I said, if you're a makeup artist, with your makeup stuff. I like the way one of us, Fawaz, was trying out with Chelsea fans. He's a Chelsea fan. He was trying out with Chelsea players, right? So you can try to create a profile of your team players. try to use different scenarios, dictionary in a list in a dictionary, and try to find a better way that you can, a way you would prefer to always represent your data, or be flexible, because some situations might require some techniques. So now it's time to fulfill our promise, right? So we're going to create our first ever data set, and we're going to use pandas. I'm kind of rushing, but I just want to introduce you to that so that you know what we have ahead of us. Right, so we're going to use a library called pandas, and we're going to import it. Right, so we're going to do this. Import pandas. Now, if you try to run import pandas and then you have errors, you could use Colab. Colab already has this in, but if you're using your Jupyter Lab and you still want to maintain your Jupyter Lab for your practice, you can go to your command prompt where you started Jupyter Lab or where you installed Jupyter Lab. Go to a new command prompt, just use the command pip install, or you can even do it from here. You can just use pip install, just type this pandas pandas, right? You can just run this and this will install pandas for you, right? So I have already installed, and that's why you have requirements already satisfied. I'm just going to go ahead and delete this, and if you run this you should be out of errors. Remember this collection where we had um list in a dictionary, this collection. So we want to use this collection. I want to use this collection. Let me just copy it here, run it one more time, right? So we have created this dictionary now. Let's print it out. Oops. Yes, beautiful. So now I want to convert this to a data set. This is what we're going to do now. We're going to do pandas. We're going to call in pandas, call the data frame. Data frame. Then we run this. So in the data frame, the only thing we need to pass is our students dictionary. So let's pass this students. Then let's run this. Beautiful. Now you can see our first ever data set. You can see this looks like an Excel data set. You can see the column name, you can see the column age, and you can see the first person here is Aisha 22, Moses 45. You can do as many rows as possible, but have up to like 5 columns or 10 columns so you can see how this looks well. Now, don't worry if you don't understand import pandas, use pandas data frame to do this. Don't worry, it's not part of your this week's assignment. This is just an optional assignment that I'm giving you, right? To see what how you can be able to create data set manually in Python, right? So that you have hope that what you're learning actually counts, right? So this is a mandatory assignment from me, right? And even if you don't understand, just do it the way I have it here. In summary, we have been able to learn all about dictionaries today, and then next week we'll be looking at user inputs and while loops. Very, very interesting. We're going to learn how to collect information from the user. See you next class.